your power rankings update in the NFL. And I know the Miami Dolphins have always been, a big conversation topic as we go through these rankings because of the offensive production and the numbers that they put out there, yet have consistently been held out of your top 5. Now they're coming off of a rough performance this past week. And so where do things sit right now? We saw the 49ers drop a second straight game. The Eagles got back on track. The Ravens, I know from the eye test, keep getting better and better. I wonder where they are in your list. So let's lay it out.
Well, I mean, look, it's not really complicated. Again, all my lists come straight from in terms of the numbers. I try to put there's no bias. It's just how do you rank? What do you do? The 18 categories that have a sense of winning. And obviously Kansas City has really played well over the last week. And the boost Kansas City gets is because of their defense, right? They moved the ball effectively last week against our man's defense. But, the Eagles have gone up. I mean, the Eagles' numbers, the thing that's only stopping the Eagles are their turnovers. Hurts has turned the ball over more this year than he did last year. The Ravens are as good as any team in the league. The Niners didn't drop down as far as one might expect because, let's face it, the Niners are 2 plays away from being undefeated. Let's not forget that. And then the Cowboys slide down to 5. We're going to find out how good the Cowboys are this week because the matchup against the Rams favors them. The Rams are a little bit like a bad team, not a little bit like they are. The longer the game goes, the more physicality, the more wear and tear. They don't have enough depth to hold up. And we saw Pittsburgh run the ball late in the game on them. And if Dallas can run the ball, that'll be a problem. And if Dallas can rush Stafford and create some problems. Look, I fully expect the first drive of that game, the Rams to be in the lead. But the longer the game goes, will the Cowboys wear them down? I think that's the question. That's why they're in our top 5. As for some other teams, I mean, Miami, I think Jacksonville's a team moving up. Again, I've been all over Buffalo. I've done a lot of work the last 2 days on trying to figure out Buffalo out because they have been in my top, but they're not there anymore. You don't give up 5.3 yards rushing and be in the top 5 teams in the league. They have an elite quarterback, and if you really study the game against New England, it took a Herculean effort for him not to get tackled 6 times for sacks. It really did. And even Bills fans would admit it. And he turned those negative plays into positive. Not many quarterbacks can do that other than Allen and Mahomes and guys like that. So the Bills will always be a team that can beat anybody, but I'm just trying to caution our betting public to not go all in on them when it gets really high spreads because I don't know how good they really are as a total team.
Yeah, and it's 3 straight weeks now where we're seeing more and more of those warts show up with the various injuries and the issues, to your point, that they've had offensively outside of Josh Allen. And it's funny, Michael, because we talk about so many teams who their big issue is the quarterback position. And with the Buffalo Bills, it's the complete opposite. Like, they have the quarterback. They have the guy that can get you there. It's just the surrounding pieces are either injured or not working complementary like they need to right now. The other team that you bumped...
You know who Buffalo would be? If you took Al Davis used to do this all the time. If you put Josh Allen on the Raiders team and you put Hoyer on Buffalo's team, that's the difference. You could say, well, you're crazy. No, they got Max Crosby. They got an elite pass rusher. They got an elite receiver, Devontae Adams. They got an elite running back, right? They got some elite pieces, right? They don't have an elite quarterback. So everything they have doesn't look very good. Meanwhile, Buffalo has an elite quarterback, and everybody thinks they're really good. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Everybody thinks they're really good. The Raiders are no good. They're terrible. They are. They're not very good. Granted. They have some good, but they have no quarterback. Same thing if you put Allen on another team. Put him on the Jets or put him on Tennessee. All of a sudden, the teams put him on New England. Put Josh Allen on New England. What do you think that record is? We're having New England in a top 5 conversation.
It's a really interesting conversation. And meanwhile, another team that you bumped off of your list this week is the Detroit Lions, coming off that ugly performance against the Ravens. And we were talking not long ago about them being really competitive for that, second best team in the NFC right now. And now they're out of your top 5 based on the numbers altogether.
They are out of the top 5, but they're still 6th. So they're right there. They're ahead of Buffalo, actually. They'll bounce back. I mean, look, they needed that. They needed to get the dose of reality, and they needed to figure out how are they going to play against quarterbacks with movement, because that's something that's been a thorn in their side, whether it was the 2 games against Justin Fields last year or the 164 yards rushing that Buffalo got against them on Thanksgiving Day. So it's a great lesson. It's a powerful learning tool. It's one loss. I think people are overvaluing Minnesota based on what they did on Saturday on Monday night, because when you peel back the layers of that game, they easily could have lost that game if it wasn't for the blitz zero call at the end of the half. Cousins played as good as he can play, right? And they scored 22 points. As good as he can play, and they scored 22 points, and 7 of them came from, you can call it a Hail Mary, but it wasn't, but it really was.
Yep. Also, while we're on the 49ers for a moment, I'm sure Robbie Gould is just like sitting at home, watching, laughing. Like, if you just paid up a little bit more, we'd be fine. But Jake Moody, like every time that he steps up to kick, Michael, I feel uncomfortable, but it is what it is. And that, again.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a great kicker. Stormy, he's a great kicker. And if they get rid of him, it's like Carlson, it's like Elliott, it's like all these great kickers in the league. They have to go through this. They have to go through it. I mean, look, you're talking to somebody. I wanted to fire Matt Stover so bad in 1991. I mean, we had signed him as a Plan B free agent from the Giants. Belichick knew him, and he was not good. And I wanted to fire him. And he got in his rookie year, and it was second year in the league, and he made a kick against the Bengals to win the game, and his career took off from that point forward. Moody's going to be the same way. It's going to be the same way, because you just got to get through that point. Now where's like Brett Maher, who the Rams had to cut, that's a mental thing. There's no way they could go forward with that. I think Moody will go forward, but you're right. In this cap era, you've got to have to make some concessions, and they decided to make it at one of the most important positions as kicker. They weren't anticipating kicking many field goals, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and we talk about that all the time, though, that the kicking game, very, very underrated part of, especially for us as bettors, what is winning and losing a game, winning and losing a bet. And so I hope that he gets through these growing pains, because it's been from the preseason to now. Also, last minute here, your bottom 5 teams. You have the Giants, Broncos, Raiders, Cardinals, and Bears. Interesting, the Panthers, who are the only winless team in the NFL and winless against the spread, not in your bottom 5.
Yeah, they kind of got a break. I guess their numbers kind of got improved because some of these other teams got bad, So I think I was doing on the Panthers. It's interesting. This will only be the 3rd home game for the Panthers this year, and their average margin of loss against teams on the road is 15.5. They've lost by a combined score of 15.5. Their average margin of loss at home is 5.5. They just haven't played a lot at home. They haven't played a lot of home games. They're a different team at home than they are on the road. And they're going against a Texans team that's probably overpriced right now. But when you look at them, for all the conversations about the Texans, about how great they are, and what they've been able to do, their defense has allowed over 400 yards the last 2 weeks. You can throw the football effectively. So with Thomas George coming back into play here, what are they going to do? How will it work out? I think it'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, and we said it yesterday for the Carolina Panthers. This feels like their Super Bowl in Week 8, where they're at a critical game and rookie quarterback on rookie quarterback going head-to-head out there at Bank of America Stadium in Carolina.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.